we are going to make potentially the Trojan horse look like something that's very unimportant by comparison. And we don't want to be the ones that in 200 years from now they're reading about allowing something else into our country with a different name than the Trojan horse, but had the same impact. So this is called the snake. I think it'll make a point. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Oh, well," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you." She wrapped him up all cozy in a curvature of silk, and then laid him by the fireside with some honey and some milk. She found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the broken snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried. "But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you certainly might have died." Now she stroked his pretty skin, and then she kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, O tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. "I saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bit me. Heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Oh, shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in." "I saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bit me. Heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in." It's amazing. Gonna happen unless we get very, very, very smart.
So in a nutshell, we let him in a second time. He's also letting in a bunch of technocrats from Silicon Valley. The Iron Dome of America and Elon Musk Neuralink have a common gematria, numerology of 1290 and 215. The Iron Dome kind of reminds me of a combination between Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, where Tina Turner sings "We Don't Need Another Hero," and the document Iron Mountain. And Make America Great Again and Iron Mountain have same English and simple gematria, as does hive mentality. And when you look at the anagram for hive mentality, it's I thy metal vein. And again, looking at the anagrams for the word climate change, after you hit the chemical agent, same letters is also get mechanical, while they play their technical game and they latch you in the cage as we all clinch the meta age with all the help of the radio and electromagnetic frequencies flying through the air. The anagram for Tina Turner is your intranet. Trump loves artificial intelligence, AI. He's said that over and over again. The anagram for AI is ill life and intricate cage. Like Peter Thiel, who actually his anagram for his name is the reptile. And he's the one that's funding so much of Musk's endeavors. like Neuralink, like United States, states of mind, like we're all in it together. Where we go one, we go all. Think about that word. All united, all linked, all Neuralinked. Peter Thiel is the president of the Bilderbergs. It's a think tank. He's got the company Ambrosia that takes the blood from young people and injects it into someone if you're older than 35 years old. Both he and Elon Musk have a place near the White House. They've got Donald Trump's ear. Regarding this report from Iron Mountain, on page 15, this question was asked, how did the group operate? I mean, where and when did you meet and so forth? We met on an average of once a month, usually was on weekends and usually 2 days. We had a few longer sessions and one that only lasted 4 hours. We met all over the country, always at different times, different places. Except for the first and last times, which are at Iron Mountain. It was like a traveling seminar, sometimes at hotels, sometimes at universities. On page 16, and once in a private estate in Virginia, we used a business place in Pittsburgh. Elon Musk went to the University of Pennsylvania. The university has 4 undergraduate schools, which include the Wharton School. In previous election cycles, former president and 1968 Wharton graduate Donald Trump has frequently mentioned his Ivy League credentials and affiliation with Penn. But as his 3rd presidential campaign nears its end, data indicates that Trump is distancing himself from the university. Now, why would that be? That he doesn't want to be associated with Wharton, which is an undergraduate school of the University of Pennsylvania, where Elon Musk went. We never met in Washington or on governmental property anywhere. And Abel, it's a pseudonym or just a name to protect this person. Abel would announce the times and places 2 meetings ahead. They were never changed. We didn't divide into subcommittees or anything else that formal, but we all took individual assignments between meetings. So listen to this. A lot of it involved getting information from other people. Among the 15 of us, I don't think there is anybody in the academic or professional world we wouldn't call on if we wanted to, and we took advantage of it. We were paid a very modest per diem. All of it was called expenses on the vouchers. We were told not to report it on our tax returns. The checks were drawn and on a special account of Abel's at New York's bank. He signed them. I don't know what the study cost. So far as our time and travel were concerned, it couldn't have come to more than a low 6-figure range. But the big item must have been on computer time, and I have no idea how high this ran. Here was a question asked, how are peace games played? Are they like Rand's war games? You know, Rand, like there's a Rand in Santa Monica. I'm going to come over here and read this because it's easier to see this way. You don't play peace games like chess or Monopoly any more than you play war games with toy soldiers. You use computers, just like they did in Event 201. Remember the John Hopkins tabletop exercise that had Bill Gates and a CIA officer named Averill Haines? It says you use computers. It's a programming system, a computer language like Fortran or Algo or Jovial. I wonder if it's also like Java. Its advantage is its superior capacity to interrelate data with no apparent common points of reference. A simple analogy is likely to be misleading, but I can give you some examples. For instance, supposing I asked you to figure out what effect a moon landing by U.S. astronauts would have on election in, say, Sweden, or what effect the change in the draft law. So anyhow, this is just some examples he gave, but I found on page 16 was sort of interesting how it said we all took individual assignments between meetings. A lot of it involved getting information from other people. Among the 15 of us, I don't think there was anybody in the academic or professional world we couldn't call on if we wanted to. And we took advantage of it. And here we have Musk and Peter Thiel, who's part of the Bilderberg, he's president of the Bilderberg, are in with Washington, D.C. with Trump. That's just a coincidence, I'm sure. I'm going to read this page 10. It's part of the continued. So the question was asked, why was the project given to an outside commission? Why couldn't it have been handled by an appropriate government agency? Although the government is a company. For our study, even the private research centers were too institutional. A lot of thought went into making sure that our thinking would be unrestricted. All kinds of little things, the way we were called into the groups, the places we met, all kinds of subtle devices to remind us. For instance, even our name, the Special Study Group. You know, government names. Wouldn't you think we'd have been called Operation Olive Branch or Project Pacifica or something like that? Nothing like that for us. Too elusive, too suggestive, and no minutes of our meetings too inhibiting about who might be reading them. Of course, we took notes for our own use, and among ourselves, we usually called ourselves the Iron Mountain Boys, or Our Thing, or whatever came to mind. There's your iron. Is this why they call themselves the Iron Mountain Boys? In the gray operations, those that are supposed to be unofficial but are really as official as can be, also with the CIA. It's like the Bilderberg Group, the one that Peter Thiel is president of. This is part of what the Iron Mountain says regarding the space research. Economic. The social welfare model cannot be expected to remain outside the normal economy after conclusion of its predominantly capital investment phase. Its value in this function can therefore be only temporary. The space research substitute appears to meet both major criteria and should be examined in greater detail, especially in respect to its probable effects on other war functions. Elaborate inspection schemes, although superficially attractive, are inconsistent with the basic premise of transition to peace. The unarmed forces variant, logistically similar, is subject to the same functional criticism as the general social welfare model. I'm going to skip over. The unarmed forces variant, amended to include unlimited powers of economic sanction, might conceivably be expanded to constitute a credible external menace. Development of an acceptable threat from outer space, presumably in conjunction with a space research surrogate for economic control, appears unpromising in terms of credibility. The environmental pollution model does not seem sufficiently responsive to immediate social control, except through arbitrary acceleration of current pollution trends. This in turn raises questions of political acceptability. New, less regressive approaches to the creation of fictitious global enemies invite further investigation. Does that not tell you that a lot of the stuff that's happening, like the words climate change, are just part of all this false flag narrative? Are there really no substitutes for war? If we believe our guide, the answer is no, for the trouble with substitutes is their tendency to develop their own momentum. One cannot as readily regulate social as military spending. Almost any plausible, peaceful use of resources soon comes to be an expected part of the gross national product, and therefore difficult to manipulate as an economic regulator. The space race is the best alternative to a war economy because the supply of planets and galaxies should suffice to allow practically perpetual and ever more expensive tooling up for more and more grandiose missions. Even so, the space economy is less satisfactory than the war economy because it contains less of an indispensable binding element, hostility to foreigners. Perhaps if we're lucky, our space explorers will find hostile life on other planets. So here are a couple things to think about regarding, here's Peter Thiel. He was born in West Germany. He's now a citizen of the United States and New Zealand. He was educated in Stanford. He was granted his New Zealand citizenship in 2011. In 2003, he launched Palantir Technologies, a big data analysis company, and he's been its chairman since its inception. He's married to Matt. Then we have Elon Musk. Elon was born in 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa. He taught himself computer programming at age 12, sold the computer code for video games. He moved to Canada in 1988 and is a graduate from the University of Pennsylvania. So you've got Elon Musk, who was born South African, and you got Peter Thiel, who was born in West Germany and also has a citizenship in New Zealand as well, educated in Stanford, and they're both in with Washington, D.C. with Trump. The question, you said you made your own ground rules. What were these ground rules? I'm skipping down. It says, I mean that we stayed with every issue until we had what the Quakers called a sense of the meeting. It was time consuming, but in the long run, it saved time. Eventually, we all got on the same wavelength, so to speak. We have a tech news report regarding Palantir. There's Elon Musk. Here's a headline as of today. Says Palantir CEO Alex Karp says Dodge, that's like E-God. If you look at the anagram, E-God, like electric God, is a revolution, and some people are going to get their heads cut off. And the subtitle reads that the CEO of Palantir, the one that Peter Thiel owns or whatever, said he thought disruption caused by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency would be good for Americans. And it's Peter Thiel, who is the chairman of Palantir. Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are pretty tight. They're both not born U.S. citizens, but yet they're both in the White House. They're both into data and tracking and computers, and they're in the White House. So we've got this Peter Thiel, whose anagram for his name is literally the reptile. He's the chairman of Palantir. You've got him holding hands here with Donald Trump. He's totally supporting Elon Musk's adventures and endeavors financially. Disruption caused by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency would be good for Americans as people get their heads cut off. Palantir, interestingly, aligns up with some gematria words, mirror, POTUS, prison, Space Force, PSYOP, and deception, among other things. They're all in it together. Is anyone seeing the long game or the big picture? So do you all think all this nonsense of all these little space launches and just BS that we're constantly having to watch? So if you just look at the one word, for instance, Falcon 9. So if we were to convert that all numerically to an alphabet, it would be Falcon I, Falcone. Because I think we all know that his helium ventures are, we've figured it out now. It's all BS. What they need from us: fear, division, attention. They need our time. They need us to be apathetic, so they need our apathy. Time equals force in radio. Time is technology, information, money, and energy. They're taking all of this from us. They need this to be successful. They create fear by creating false flags, scarcity, ignorance, confusion. We are opposite of what they have and what they are. We are energy, abundance, creativity, love, and we're united. As long as we don't let them get in the way. So do you think that we've all had enough time in our lives and our education to get this visual in our head when we hear the word United States? Or is it possible that they've meant it like this all along, United States, like state of mind, as we have Elon Musk coming on board for some reason? Has that ever raised any suspicion or question in any of your minds? And have we forgotten also how in, January 24th, 2023, how Musk, and they say top aides, but those top aides was John Podesta, who sat in the White House and talked about not just electric cars, but electrification, the goals around electrification. So again, how many times do we need to be shown or told what they're going to do to us, and we keep letting them in? It's crazy. United States, like the hive mind. We've been seeing all kinds of hive mentality, hive mind, Neuralink. What do you think that's about? You think it's United States, or is it state of mind that they're going to be grabbing everyone and putting them on the same Internet of Things, Internet of Bodies? And the constant reading of the Snake poem by Donald Trump, constantly reminding that we let him in. Here's like the state of mind. Look at this. This is almost like what you would call the Corona effect. Here it is again. And it's interesting when we look at the logo for the Operation Warp Speed for the Corona. Look at that. You even have a new official picture of Melania looking at the reflection on the table, just like Operation Warp Speed, General Pernin, all those people had the reflection on the table as well. There's similarities when you look at the Corona regarding the power lines and the Corona that they have tried to explain to people, and a reason to go get some needle crafting and have some stuff put under their skin. This says Corona is accompanied by a loss of energy. This affects the transmission efficiency of the line. Ozone is produced by Corona and may cause corrosion of the conductor due to chemical action. Corrosion in cells is what you call oxidative stress. There's definitely a parallel between all the power lines, EMFs, radio frequency, microwaves, and what they're doing to the environment. This is why we have extra sparks in the atmosphere. This is why we have more fires. All the wearables and stuff people are doing, they always say that they're doing it for health reasons and stuff like that. That's bullshit. They're trying to copy or track and trace everybody. Look at that. They're trying to make it look like, oh, the physiotherapists, the emergency response people, and the physicians. Bullshit. These are the people who are going to be doing the gang stalking on everyone. People better wake up. The Wireless Body Area Network, W-band, is a type of network that connects small, low-power sensors placed on or within the human body to collect and transmit physiological data like heart rate, blood pressure, and body temperature. Remember Trump was saying we're going to be getting all this extra data in? Data centers? That's what he's talking about. They need data centers to hold all the information for artificial intelligence to track and trace you. The Department of Human and Health Services is all part of all of this. The wildfires, there's their crow metamorphosizing from people into a crow. Flock of crows is called a murder. There's your W bands. W bands mean wireless body area networks. This is the Internet of Bodies. The Internet of Bodies, the IOB devices, can be worn, swallowed, implanted in the body, I'm sure injected, or even embedded, yeah, another word for that is injected, into the skin. smartwatches, fitness tracker, rings, wristbands, wireless headphones, heads-up display glasses, virtual reality headsets, smart tattoos, bio patches, and global positioning systems, the GPS that everyone is so reliant on. They enable shoes, are examples of wearable IOB devices, so you can be tracked, digital drug delivery pills and ingestible sensors. They're typical examples of swallowable IOB devices. Does anyone know that they're actually doing that? Cardioverter defibrillators and heart pacemakers are a case in point. Lastly, embedded IOB devices can be simply chips buried under the skin. A very cutting edge instance is brain-computer interface technology. There we're talking now again about United States, I'm sure. Like state of mind, hive mentality. So a very cutting-edge instance is brain-computer interface technology, where an IOB device allows a real-time connection between brain and remote computers for the purpose of monitoring and controlling. Monitoring and controlling. These are not my words. It has also recently come into fashion. Inject a large rice grain size microchip into the hand for the purpose of biometric identification and authorization. The Internet of Bodies systematic survey on the propagation, characterization, and channel modeling. You know what the best thing to do is just do not participate in this stuff. Stop taking surveys, stop answering their questions. But this is why Donald Trump needs all those data centers, because he needs to have a way to store all this data that they're going to be gathering on us. Yep, a lot's going on right now. Look at this DC. So DC is like a battery. So they're probably hooking us up. We are their forms of energy. We have thermal, we have electrical, we have mechanical, we have chemical, and we have magnetic energy. So they're going to be downloading all of our stuff and stealing our energy, and they are going to be using it. Here's an anagram I found for United States. Situated nets. You think they've set those up intentionally? I do. Remember that movie that Kevin Costner was in called Field of Dreams? Remember Build It and They Will Come? Kevin Costner. So Field of Dreams, if I looked at the anagram, dead life forms, that's going to be us. They're just going to hook up to our brains and take that kind of energy, the electrical energy from us. Kevin Costner. Here's a couple anagrams I came up with. Kevin Costner, coven, you know, like the witches, tinkers, and coven reknits. It's like coven reknits. It's kind of like they make it, they redo something. So build back better. There's your new world order. Anyhow, when you think of United States, ask yourself, United States, like states of mind, linked up to the same interface. Okay, so I'm just giving a short, quick example here. Here's your Pokemon Go. They track you. They track your movements. Here is a Google smartwatch. They just happen to have 1010 on it. 10 equals AI, but COVID-19 equals 1010 in Jewish gematria. Here is a Fitbit tracker. They even tell you it's a tracker. There's their number they choose to put on there, 1258. 1258 is occult numerology. 1258 is also buzzing, like what you get when you get microwaved. And there's your 630-105. If you look at 630-105, it's also Neuralink and 9/11. But I'm sure this is all just a big coincidence. They don't really know what they're doing. And here's just one picture for Pokemon Go. Looks like a little city or something, a town, is being thrown on its axis. And look down here, this fire dragon, as we have fires all over the place, at least in California, is you've got a tower toppling over. It's right below what looks like could be a cell tower. And then here is really interesting. It looks like red blood cells, like unhealthy red blood cells. This is what blood cells look like when they get stacked up on top of each other due to microwave, the technology. And of course you got your little pedo spiral right there in the background, but look at this. I mean, really, those are red blood cells. They know what they're doing with these microwave towers. And here you have them again on top of this guy, again next to what looks like a big cell tower or phone tower. So these are supposed to be like healthy red blood cells. And here's a generated image of unhealthy red blood cells when they get oxidative stress. They stack like a bunch of quarters. And here's what they look like in the supposed like the electron microscope shows it when it's been microwaved after a phone call. So when it's being exposed to microwave, this is what they're supposed to look like. And this is what they look like after microwave exposure, like after you've been on a cell phone. That's oxidative stress. And isn't that interesting how Pokemon just happens to have this look on the fire dragon next to cell towers. Remember, Donald Trump has told us what he thinks. He's told us over and over again that he really likes artificial intelligence. And there's my anagram for it. Ill life in intricate cage. And I think that we're about to find ourselves in that intricate cage. So good luck to us. I just hope I'm proven wrong. Hope so.